Hello and welcome back to the Terrace podcast, which is, I think, about take 4 from tonight. We had some technical issues. A couple of us forgot beer.
Gary's tan.
My tan just before we came on air. Various other things. So, welcome back to the Terrace Life podcast. And we thought it'd be a great opportunity right this moment in time during lockdown to catch up with the main men themselves, Carl and Paul from the Terrace Life. How the hell are you two doing?
Sweating a lot.
Still sweating.
I mean, I don't know about you, but it's like 27 degrees up here in Costa del Preston.
27 degrees.
Well, it had 27 on the car earlier, so I was just like,
it's only because you got the heaters on.
In the metropolis that is Barnsley, it's 23, I think. So we've always got to take into account the nuclear fallout cloud that hangs about above this place.
I don't know what it is down here. It's just hot.
I know I went to the Tesco next to the Macron Stadium like earlier, and in the space of 20 minutes from going there to getting home, my ice cream had completely melted.
So you drank it?
Yeah, glass of milkshake, Alpro chocolate milkshake.
Absolute life problems. But we thought it'd be a good chance to get together and just see how life is at the Terrace, because obviously you guys have been busy since we last spoke. We've been busy. We spoke to Scott Palfrey, we spoke to Emma Jones, we spoke to Emerson Boyce. I spent a bit of time in hospital. The sun got really hot. We got fully locked down. It rained a bit. Yeah, everything's been a bit crazy. So it's a good chance to catch up with you guys. So what's new in the world of the Terrace that people who live in a cave might not know?
It's really, really busy. I can't really sum it up any more than that. It's kind of crazy at the moment for us. Like, we've hit a point where I think if we took, Paul and I kind of look over the data on a weekly basis, and the data for this month is showing a bigger month than Christmas at the moment. From Christmas that we've just had, people are sat at home, they've got more money because they're not spending it on fuel and the kids and holidays, and but it comes with, we can handle being busy. That's not the issue. Obviously the issue is the pandemic. It's our suppliers are down to half workforces, so where certain products are printed. A classic example is taking fabric printing. So towels, cushions, aprons. To get maximum quality on our products, every single product is printed to order. So you go on and order a Leeds apron, that's printed, it's baked, it's hand seamed and finished by a seamstress. So when that workforce is halved and the demand is quadrupled, it makes for delays and trying to work around that. So the suppliers we work with, we work with them so regularly that we've kind of put plans of action in place that there's now extra staff coming in on different days and different shifts. So we're maintaining, but it's just so busy. Like, it's every day you literally go into the office at 9 and suddenly you blink and it's 5, and Paul's working around the clock at the moment. Absolutely around the clock, like, because I work from the unit, so we've just taken on another member of staff. So welcoming Terrace Rob to the family, although we call him Nick. That's purely just because Craig thought his name was Nick, kept calling him Nick.
It was very much an Only Fools and Horses trigger moment where he's like, yeah, Nick. And Carl's like, he's called Rob. You're like, what? I'm sure he's called Nick. I'm like, no, he's definitely called Rob.
And he's actually my next door neighbour. So I was kind of like, yeah, his name is definitely Rob. And Craig's just spent the whole time going, no, I'm sure his name's Nick. So welcoming Terrace Rob, Terrace Nick, whatever you want to kind of call him. He's been brought in to help with Craig's workload purely on production. Both of them are now tackling on a daily basis the orders, the dispatch, the packing, and people. We've seen companies online and stuff who are obviously smaller companies, and they have time to grow and stuff. But for the startups and the smaller companies, they're the ones that can really smash it right now, because they're dispatching in 48 hours, 72 hours. But when you're only getting 6 orders a week, it's easy to maintain that. We're at a point now where I think on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, we're probably doing 600, 700, 800 orders. So we're kind
And
of
the
at the
rest.
moment, and the rest. So we're at a point at the moment where we're shipping around 150 orders a day. But that doesn't include the face masks, and we've obviously got 3,000 of those to ship out. Which Paul has had a fantastic day, sat in his living room packing them to give us a bit of a head start, rather than having to do them during the week. Look how happy he is.
You know when when you do that stuff, like, and you'll definitely get this as like blokes where like, I don't know, like your missus says, "Oh, we need to do this in the house," and you're like, "I can do that," and you start doing it, and you think, "Why did I say I could do this?" Like,
mate, I started painting the living room last week. I've literally done 3 inches strip of a wall and went, I can't be bothered. Like,
it's horrible.
There's just a piece of living room painted. It's not a wall. It's not half a wall. It's a piece. Because I just
said the other week, I was like when we first started doing it, because one of the biggest problems is that, for example, to ship 2,000 face masks, it probably take 2 people at least a whole day. And like the biggest problem there is that because we've got orders coming in daily anyway, so the regular orders still need to go out. So like the masks were a pre-order just over 2 weeks ago. So you kind of do those, you sell those, and then it's there, and it's something that at a point you have to get out of the door. And the problem is that there's obviously a lot of orders with the store anyway. So I was kind of like, yeah, it'd be easy, that it won't take long. Like, we shipped the first batch last week. I'm like, yeah, there's only another 2,000 coming in, and then
no joke. When we put these on pre-order, Paul said, "No, because it'll be fine. Because I can just, I'll ship the single mask orders. I'll just do them at the weekend at home and stuff." And I'm like, "You are aware there's like 2,400 of those?" He's like,
"No, even
yeah, it'll be fine."
Even though I knew that, I was kind of like, "Yeah, it won't be." To be honest with you, originally I thought I'll probably be able to take a couple of hours out during the regular working day and just be able to do it, but. I mean, at the moment, there's still things that I started the day on Tuesday saying I need to do that today that still haven't been done yet. And it's like, yeah, it's a big effort. And I think it's one of them things where like maybe people don't quite realize like we're not shipping out of like an Amazon fulfillment warehouse where you place an order and 5 minutes later it's packed and it's done. And we don't have hundreds of staff where we can just go, oh yeah, this person can take care of this, or someone can do this. So like when it comes to those kind of things, we really have to plan a lot, and
however,
and usually go the extra.
Just say, on that note though, that's not anyone else's problem but ours. It's
absolutely
not a sob story. Do you know what I mean? And that's why we've taken on Rob now as another member of staff, and that's why Paul's working on Saturday, Sundays to get the job done. Like, it's our problem to deal with, and I think me
it's
and Paul
a good problem.
Yeah, we were chatting the other night, and we were saying, like, how busy it is right now. When we were saying it's good problems to have, like, they're problems.
It's like it's good stress.
Busy, but it's good.
Yeah,
it's good stress. So,
where did the face mask inspiration come from then? Because, like, obviously, it's going to be the new Vogue, innit, for a bit.
It's kind of like
by all accounts.
It was so when this lockdown started, we talked about it in the first episode of like lockdown comes in, pandemic comes in, and me and Paul sit there having meetings about, are we furloughing staff? Are we expecting to, turn over nothing for the next 3 months? And it's been the polar opposite. We're hiring staff. We've literally been in our new unit for 2 months, and we had a conversation about how we're outgrowing it like a week ago. It's, we're orders are quadruple what they'd normally be. It's the complete polar opposite. And I rang Paul one night and I said, me and Paul had a chat about face masks. So a lot of football clubs were releasing them, and we started to get tweets and messages saying, you guys are like kit specialists and merchandise specialists. Why aren't you doing retro? I want to buy a retro kit Plymouth mask. I want to buy a retro kit Leeds mask and stuff. And it's like, we had a really long conversation about it. And I said from the start is like, Paul had the kind of same outlook, and so did Craig, because everyone at the company we spoke to, and it was, we are not comfortable selling masks for profit. It's, whilst is it a necessity? I don't know. That's not for me to say. But with masks, it's a case that you're now under government advice to wear one in public. So rightly so, the human nature next is to go and buy one. So why? When it becomes a necessity, I'm not comfortable with making a profit off of that. a kit mug for someone's birthday isn't a necessity. I run a business, Paul and I run a business. We make profit on that. So when it comes to masks, it was the conversation kind of spans to, well, look, over the last 3 months, we've had phenomenal support from what we call our supporters. They've been spending in droves. That's kept us busy. It's kept the lights switched on. It's kept the presses going. So I said to Paul, like, how do we give something back? They've spent their money with us. How do we give it something a little bit back? That's the ethos of our business. It's always about giving back to the football community because that's what we take from. So as with any discussion we have, I go full board. Let's just give everything away for free. And so we put little things into place, and we got the old calculators out and the Excel spreadsheets, did some workings out, and I said to Paul, right, what we're going to do is we're going to give away. I say give away. Customers still had to pay for the shipping, but we're going to give 1,000 free face masks away. We did the costs, and we evaluated it, and we said we could afford to swallow that money and the cost of the masks. So that's what we did, and the first 1,000 were gone within about an hour, 2 hours. So it did its job, but we were like, literally 10 minutes,
wasn't it? That was limiting.
Yeah, literally 10 minutes before we launched them, me, Paul, and Craig had an internal sweepstake, not for money, but we were like, right, how many of these will sell? And Paul and Craig were like quite optimistic. And I said, about 50, 75, 100. I think we'll have loads left over, because I never really truly understand the power as a brand that the Terrace has. Maybe that's just me being humble. Maybe it's me ignoring the fact of where it goes or how much it's seen. But literally within a couple of hours, bang, 1,000 were gone. So I was straight on the phone to Paul. I spoke to the manufacturers, and I said, look, we're going to have to increase it, because 1,000 have gone within 2 hours. People are still at work. Like, this is before 5 o'clock that they've gone. Like, there's going to be a core element of our customer base that haven't even seen this yet. So we increased it to 2,000. Within 3 hours, they'd gone again. So then I rang Paul again, and I said, look, we've got to draw the line somewhere, and also take into the fact that we're paying for these. So there has to be a line somewhere where we go, we as a company, we can't do anymore. So then we increased it to 3,000, and that was the line. We said, right, there's another 1,000 available. We can't do any more. We can't afford to do any more for free. So the 3,000 in total went in about 14 hours, which, is proud. It's a proud moment. It's like, people, of course, it's a free product. Like, it's going to have that attraction because it's a free product. So why shouldn't they go in 14 hours? But people wanted a face mask. They liked the look. And I think an important part of the face mask conversation is how the time we spent before launching them is, we spoke to maybe 5 manufacturers that we deal with, and we were getting sample photos. And like most of the club ones that have been released, it was just a piece of fabric over the face with some elastic straps on. It's no different to just doing that. Yeah. It's literally a t-shirt over your face. And I said, and then we got one option from one of our favourite suppliers, to be fair, that do a lot of custom items for us. And they said, look, we've developed a face mask that's 3 layers. It's got an inner fabric filter. And they sent us a sample, and it's probably, I quite confidently say it's one of the best face masks on the market when you compare it to any other football club and so on releasing masks. So we went for them. It was more expensive. It cost us more, but we wanted to ensure that if we're giving something for free to customers, that they are impressed with the quality. So, but yes, the 3,000 went, and then basically Paul spent the next 10 days hounded in the customer service inbox with just hundreds of people saying, I need a mask, I want a mask, I didn't get one, when they're going back on sale. So now it died down a little bit, and now that there's daily batches being sent out of the free ones, we put another 1,000 online. And like, how much we put them up for? $3.99, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was basically cost for the item.
So we've basically done another 1,000, but at cost, because we can't afford to go and swallow another $4,000 for 1,000 face masks. But we're giving our customers the opportunity to buy it, and we make nothing, but they get what they need at a cost rate. And you know, we take into consideration the cost of the mask, the cost of someone packing it all day, packaging, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so we've done them cheap, still the cheapest on the market. And then between that, it's also worth noting that we also released 2,000 Plymouth Argyle masks, again at cost. And in that cost, we've also factored in a small donation to NHS Plymouth for every sale. So yeah, they've been really popular. But we're now just bombarded daily with people saying, when are you releasing Leeds ones? When are you releasing Portsmouth ones? When are you releasing Rangers ones? And we could set up a whole nother business if we wanted to, doing face masks, but it's of no interest. But I've seen a, so I don't know, Paulie, whether you've seen it, a company called the Retro Face Mask or something has popped up for Leeds face masks, and they're just selling Leeds retro kit ones, and it's inevitable that people are going to see an opportunity to jump in, cash in, make a few grand, and then disappear again. And if that's what you want to do, that's absolutely fine. But we've got a longevity of a business and careers and staff and stuff to look after, and I just don't feel comfortable making profit off them. So, but it's gone well, and you know, with us being transparent, it's done great for the brand as well. You know, everyone's posting photos online of their masks, and I know you haven't yet because I still need to post you one, but don't worry, it's in the post. It'll be there soon.
Don't want to damage these dashing good looks anyway.
I actually forgot to bring it with me when I met you the other day. Just to say, when I met Gary, it wasn't illicit. There was nothing illegal occurring.
There's nothing. So to give perspective, I went and met Paul. Ironically, at a service station where I learned to drive many years ago, like 14 years ago, I learned to drive 7.5-ton vehicles in the very same service station. But yeah, me and Paul met up and we adhered to social distancing procedures. We had a lovely coffee across a spare. We left a parking space spare, Paul, didn't we? We had a coffee. We had a little chat about various things, stuff that we'll not mention on here because it'll cause all sorts of problems. But on to the next point then. Who do I need to kill to get a gold Terrace mug?
The gold mugs, God, you wouldn't believe the amount of tweets I've had about them.
I reckon it's probably going to be a month before someone remembers that we need to actually do something with them, because it's like, it's one of the things. Carl was like, he does this quite regularly because I order like most of the stock that we use, and he sends me messages like, order 10 of these, because we do a lot of like trials with like new things before we even consider whether it's like an option to launch a new product. And he's like, yeah, just order me like 10 of these gold mugs. I'm going to do this. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll order them. I think it's probably one of them where we'd probably like to do it on Monday and send them out. But realistically, we've already got loads of orders that we still have to send out.
They will probably go out next week. And if you get one in the post, Gary, it'll be a surprise. I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
I think Craig's got a mug on his desk with a picture of you on, Gary. So
he's got a photo of you. I printed it.
Obviously, that's why we don't have Craig on the podcast, because he's got this like loving for me. Apparently, but, he's got me on his works mug and stuff. And yeah, but no, Craig's welcome anytime he wants. Obviously, a little bit of an exclusive, but you've got 2 new licenses to announce soon. But we're not allowed to tell who it is. Were they tough ones to get? Were they irons in the fire type thing?
Well, so there's 2 licenses have been done. One is just a straight club license. That one I've been working on for probably a year. It's literally like I did a fist pump and shouted in the office when I got the email through on Thursday, and Craig and Rob were stood there like, what's going on? And I was like, you do not realise, don't realise the email I've just got. Like, it's literally been a year in the making. So that one's an exciting one. Hopefully that'll go live in like maybe 7-10 days. I've just got some artwork to finish. The second license is a really, really unique one, and it's not just a license. We've actually done our first Terrace kit supply deal with a football club. So I can't tell you who. It's not Man City, but so we're kind of entering the market a little bit, and we're doing a full kit supply for a team for their men's, women's, and we're doing the full youth setup as well, so we can kind of support all aspects of football within a club. And it's going to be an exciting one because we're going to basically do full kit supply. We're going to be handling sales of replica shirts. We're going to be handling helping them improve their online merchandise. And it's not, like I said, it's not Man City, and it's not a huge, iconic team. It's someone in the ladder of football that is growing and is making moves to start their journey to become kind of bigger and big time. And yeah, it's a good stepping stone for us because it's at a level where we can easily manage it. The demand is smaller, so we can manage kind of the logistics of making it all work. It's not a trial for us. We know what we're doing, but it's a way for us to learn from it as well. So we're really excited. There's been quite a few meetings in the past kind of 7 days, and fingers crossed it will be announced next Friday. That's where we're kind of heading at the moment. But
it was a very strange thing having a socially distanced meeting on a football pitch.
Yes, all kind of imaginary shaking hands.
Someone's on the edge of the 6-yard box. The other person's on the edge of the 18-yard box. Like we were queuing up for a corner.
I was in goal.
Yeah.
Well, we are still in these like strange times, aren't we? Where like I bump into people at supermarkets who I ain't seen for ages, and normally it's a handshake and a pat on the back and whatever else. And now it's like okay, so I'm not allowed to come too close, and I best take an extra step back. And we're still in them times, aren't we?
Co-op the other day.
Don't do that.
I do it on purpose.
I coughed in the queue at co-op. I held it in for as long as I could, and then I was like, "No, I've got a cough," and I coughed, and literally I could feel the whole shop just staring at me. Like it's the world's changed massively. Like everyone's scared of everyone.
I do it on purpose. I'll stand in the queue and just start coughing all over the place.
I do like though is that I went to co-op earlier, and normally there's about 10 people outside co-op queuing to get in, but now they're all queuing for the offie next door. I was straight in co-op, straight out. They're all queuing for the off license next door because it's sunny and they're all open again. And it's talking of that, it's kind of it's not a weird time for us, but I'm got quite a bit of anticipation for the next 2 weeks because obviously June the 15th is when retail stores can open again. So I think that's going to change the dynamic of people spending again. So we might notice a bit of a shift from online sales back to physical shop sales. So that's a period of the month that we're going to be monitoring the data and the kind of traffic and so on. And obviously kids are starting to go back to school, and which to add, I think is absolutely ridiculous. But with a 7-year-old, it's kind of, she's in a year group that isn't to go back on Monday. They're hoping that their year group go back in 2 or 3 weeks, but it's considering summer holidays and just in 4 or 5 weeks time, it's kind of, I feel like everything's being rushed a little bit at the moment and trying desperately to get back to normal. And I don't know what it's going to kind of end up being really.
From an online sales point of view, though, because like one thing that we've talked about many times before, and I've talked about on various other stuff I've done, that life might not return back to how it was before. So, for example, my missus, bless her, she's basically been told you're not going back to work in what it was before. So she isn't going to sit back in an office. Like we discussed it with her, Paul, didn't we? She isn't going to sit in an office. She's going to carry on doing her job from home. Like one thing I've noticed, because I'm guilty of the bit you commented earlier, I've spent a fortune on clothing, and like I'm one of them people.
Not on our website, you haven't.
Hold on a minute, don't be like that. It's coming. I'm one of the people that like my missus will go, "Oh, you need a new pair of jeans." I'm like, "Nah, just get the kids like whatever they need," kind of thing. Like I'll wear the same pair of jeans, obviously being washed repeatedly. But like I have absolutely hammered some hightail retail online sales because they've been giving clothing away pretty much. Like
mate, you don't need to tell me and Carl. We were both on the night. Craig messaged us yesterday and said, "Yeah, Nike have got 30% off code. It ends at midnight." And I'm just on there buying stuff that I don't need.
I went onto that website last night and I went, "Oh, this is a shame, isn't it?" Because I bought 2 new pairs of trainers in the last 48 hours, but I was like 30% off, massive. Like, so I bought a third. I bought 3 pairs of trainers in as many days. It's just, and you're right though, because it's like we're going to sit here now and monitor the data to see if it shifts, if it switches. But I think it might not return to how it used to be. I mean, my daughter's crying out for dresses. It's summer months have hit. She's been in lockdown for 12 weeks, and she keeps going, "Daddy, I want more dresses. I want more dresses because the sun's out. I want dresses." And all her dresses from a year ago are crop tops on her now. They're tiny. So I'm like, "Right, I'll get you some new dresses." But I'm sure as a dad, straight down Primark. 50 quid's worth of dresses and flip flops and skirts or whatever. But okay, so if Primark opens on the 15th, I thought to myself the other day, am I going down there on the 15th or 16th? No, I'm not.
No.
Because there's going to be, everybody's going to be going there. There's going to be crowds of people everywhere. You're going to be queuing for like 2-3 hours because you got to stand 2 meters apart and the queues are bad as it is. Imagine them 2 meters apart. They're going to be trailing around the stores. So I think initially after the 15th, we might not see too much of a shift. I think it'll be when, I think it sounds stupid, but I think you won't notice much of a shift until things really return to normal. When restaurants, pubs, and stuff like that are open, because I think people still don't want to just go to Primark and buy loads of clothes when stuff that they would also normally do is still closed. It still adds that fear factor a little bit. And they're like, "Oh, should I really? Do I need to go?" It's like you said, living in one pair of jeans and stuff, because realistically, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, I don't need 5 pairs of jeans to sit in the house or wrestle bears in the garden like you were the other day. It's
I wasn't doing that for the point of the recording. I wasn't wrestling bears. I was working on this tan on my head. That's what I was doing.
What tan? Can't see it.
Yeah, I know it's a light, mate. That's just a light. But no, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. I mean, although lockdown's been kind of relaxed, maybe accidentally to an extent.
I mean, you wouldn't notice if you went outside. You would literally when I drove up the M61 this morning, and it was literally like a regular Saturday. Like, you almost wouldn't know that there was even a lockdown right now, aside from the fact that all the boozers are empty, because obviously usually in this weather they'd all be packed. But to be honest, I've noticed it a lot in the last 2-3 weeks. Even when I was sort of moving around here and there, it just seems to be getting gradually more and more and more busy. And it's one of them though. It's like, even I was telling Carl last week, like I go to a supermarket that's kind of out in a little village, and it's not busy like at all. It's never busy, but I still have this like stress feeling when I'm walking around thinking, what have I touched? Who's this standing in front of me? And like, oh, you're too close, or like whatever. And it's become almost like an unpleasant experience, to the point where I've started to switch to like delivery service. I mean, I just said to you earlier when we were chatting, and I said, like, yeah, we're having a barbecue tomorrow, and I forgot to actually order anything for it. So now I'm thinking in my mind, could I possibly just eat something else and not actually have to go to the shop at some point in the next 24 hours? Because I don't know, it's almost like a subconscious feeling of like, I can't be bothered to go there and queue up and wander around and then sometimes I feel bad going there just to buy like a handful of things, rather than, oh, you're not in here spending 50 quid on your shopping. You're buying milk, eggs, and snacks, and that's basically it. Yeah.
The thing is, like, I went to Tesco's the other week, and
he's literally taking a mick there, right? This is what happened was, about a week after lockdown, I had one of those meltdowns where you were like, I need some chocolate, and there's a little tiny express shop near me, and I went there and spent like 20 quid on sweets and Easter eggs. I bought like 7 Easter eggs. I sent a picture of it to a group chat, and Carl's like, that's not essential items. And I'm just like, there's nobody there. I was wearing gloves and I used the self-checkout. So like, just give me a break. Yeah. Like, I need chocolate. Like, fair enough if I was going there to buy a newspaper, but I actually spent like 20 quid in there and bought Pepsi and serious. I mean, Easter eggs at that point were essential purchases.
Thank you for keeping the economy going, Paul. Thank you.
Absolutely, with pleasure. I pay enough tax as it is.
Okay, Gary, I've got a question for you.
Go on.
So on that basis about shops coming back on the 15th and will things resume to normal, I want to know what you think on, is it too soon or is it being rushed to bring football back?
Oh, God.
Because the reason I want to know what you've got to say is because you're a Leeds fan. So obviously, the sooner it comes back, the sooner you can either be, you know, if it's got to be played or if it hasn't got to be played, you as a Leeds fan, I know it's the same with what we see on Twitter with Plymouth fans, with Oxford fans, they want to know if they're getting promoted or not. It's that limbo period at the moment.
However, can I just tack something else on the end of that question? I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking to myself, there is no way that I would be happy as a Leeds fan with it ending on points per game, because regardless of the fact that you might deserve to go up, you might, you know, most people would probably go, well, it's Leeds, like there's 8 or 9 games left. We probably could either go and win all of them or have a complete mare. But I think that nobody surely in their right mind can ever want to, that time after, especially after what, 16 years is it? Like, nobody can possibly want to it's like in boxing when Devin Haney gets the WBC belt via email. Like, nobody wants.
It's the same for Liverpool fans.
Yeah, nobody
winning the league
by email.
if you haven't got to play it. That's why they wanted to play it and so on.
So I'll try and keep this on. I'll try and keep this short, and I'll try and keep it on point. But as a Leeds fan, so to give perspective, 16 years have been utterly downtrodden by poor ownership, and like basically being seen as a bit of a laughing stock for a long period of time. That if you ask me, as a Leeds fan with Leeds in my blood, would I personally take guaranteed to promotion to the Premier League now? On the face of things, yes.
Of course you would. Of course.
Do I want that to happen? No. Because again, going back to the point that we've been like, you know, bottom of someone's shoe for so long by so many people, whether that's rival fans, whether that's ownership, whether that's the Football League, however you want to see it, that I want us to finish them last 9 games and absolutely just stick it up every single team in that championship, every governing body, every Premier League team, anybody who's ever said harsh about Leeds. However, totally joking apart, if we went up by points per game because I couldn't finish it, I can hand on heart say that's not how I would want it to end, but I could sit back comfortably and say, of a 36-game season, we have been the best footballing team in the Championship. And I quite happily would argue and sit down and argue and prove evidence to anybody who could argue that point against me. But it's not the way that we do it. And being a northern team,
he's going.
being a northern team and being a Leeds fan and the way that Leeds is perceived by everybody and all that type of thing, I want us to do it the right way. However, now putting my football allegiance to one side and talking purely from do I think football should come back? Again, there's a danger here of going into becoming political, and I'm not political in the slightest, but you look at the way that we handled the virus in terms of how quick we locked down, in terms of our mortality rate in the UK, as opposed to some of the other countries who football has returned a lot quicker than ours. So Germany, for example, they were quite stringent with their lockdown. La Liga looks like it might come back. They were very stringent with their lockdown. Were we so stringent? I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist. I'm not au fait with the data, all that type of stuff. But it doesn't feel like it did, and we have quite a large fatality rate compared to a lot of nations. So there is a little bit of an uncomfortable side that while 300 people, which were reported on Friday, are still losing their lives in hospital with coronavirus, that football's been pushed forward. However, you look at football in terms of part of the economy and part of like there's an argument that it might make people feel a bit better about things.
I think it's also the case of. I think it's a case of as football fans, you know, not working in football, but as football fans, it's easy to forget that football clubs not operating is tens of thousands of jobs. It's not just about. I know, you know, so much is going around at the moment that it's being forced back because of money. You know, with Sky Sports and money, and you know, clubs having to pay Sky Sports money back that's been invested, and you know, it's all stuff that we don't understand. And to be fair, we probably never understand because we don't see that side behind closed doors. But I think it does. I think for myself, it does feel like the Premier League is being forced back quite a lot, and I really admired, like, was it Troy Deeney's stance the other day where he just refused and he said, I ain't coming back. Simple as, like, I've got, you know, young children, and you know, I'm not coming back to training, when you're telling me that down the street I have to remain 2 meters apart. You're asking me to play a game of football and tackling and jockeying in the box and, you know, the corners and stuff. You're asking a footballer, you're in effect asking a footballer to go, yeah, I know that we tell you have to stay 2 meters apart, but are you okay just not doing that and risking it so we can get some football on the telly? Like, it seems, as I want football back as much as the next person, but it's another one of them areas where, and obviously we don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but it gets brought up a lot regarding, okay, so you're watching football on the telly and you see people in the crowd with racist chants or monkey gestures and all this stuff it gets brought to light. And the first thing that's in the papers or that's videoed the next day is footballers and journalists saying, like, it's so easy to forget that footballers are humans too. Like, if you went to work and got treated like that in the office, it wouldn't be acceptable. Like, I think, again, rabbit hole here, but I think that comes from, if I walk down the street and punch Paul, I'll get arrested for GBH or whatever. If a footballer punches a player on the pitch, it doesn't apply. So it almost creates its own set of laws and rules. You know, you see players doing things to other players or fans, and there's hustles and bustles and stuff, but the same laws of the land as such that you face on the streets aren't applied. And I think that's where this whole different kind of, oh, well, they're not humans. Like, they don't abide by the same laws and rules, so I can treat them how I want. So I think it's down that rabbit hole again where we have to kind of respect that footballers are humans too. They've got mortgages and wives and kids. They're also probably not getting paid at the moment. And, you know, it's very easy to sit back and go, oh yeah, but they earn 50 grand a week, so they should have loads of money in the bank and stuff. But it's a case of, are you telling me that if you earn 50 grand a week, would you still be in the same house and spending the same amount of money each week? You spend based on what you have and so on. So yeah, they might be in a £2.5 million house, but that's because how much they earn, and they spend based on what they earn. But I just think regarding football coming back, it's like, we're just forgetting that footballers are human and, like, they've got families and stuff, and asking them to come to training. We've seen training videos of clubs all over Twitter, and they're doing sprinting, running, and all this stuff, all 2 meters apart. But I think when it comes down to the games, a footballer's not going to be playing and in the back of their mind hesitant to go for that tackle, jump across that player to head the ball, jump up with the keeper at a corner, because they're thinking, I don't want to get too close to you, because it's being drilled on the telly every single day. 2 meters apart, stay alert, stay safe. And it's like, how can you ask someone to just go, yeah, but don't worry about them rules, because we need to get you on the telly so everyone's happy again and we can start making money again?
I mean, I saw a thing this morning, an interview with Bill Beaumont, and he was basically the president of, I think it's World Rugby is the president of, and he was saying, like, yeah, you know, we're not even discussing rugby coming back because the nature of the sport, it's impossible to remain distant and to follow the guidelines that are set out by the government. But obviously, when it comes to football, for me, there's not, I mean, obviously it's a difference. Rugby is a different beast, let's say, compared to football, but there's still, what, 18, 17, 16 players in a penalty box at a corner on the same thing. And it's like, when you say, like, yeah, they're being tested regularly and stuff like that, like, it's a bit different, because, like, with the UFC, everybody is in effect in a 14-day quarantine or 7-day quarantine before a fight and is tested. Whereas I'm assuming that the whole Leeds team aren't in a hotel in the city centre in isolation, and every day after training are going home to family and, you know, coming into contact with the postman or, you know, the supermarket delivery guy and stuff like that. So I just think, personally, from my perspective, I think it's a very difficult one, because there's a lot of different factors that affect the decision. Obviously, one of them being safety, but then there's also financial considerations. Because I think what it's also shown in a lot of respects is not just the gulf between, obviously, like, I mean, we know there's a big gulf between, for example, League Two and the Premier League, but you even hear of Premier League teams. I mean, I think I saw an article about Burnley, where Burnley basically said, if you void the season, like, we're going to have financial issues. And I think it's a similar thing for most, because obviously at that level, they're not only do they get huge revenues, but they're also paying out huge sums of money on a weekly and monthly basis that, you know, I can see why they want to push this forward to get it back. But I kind of sit on the fence, because I'm not yet 100% sure whether it's too soon or exactly what the motivation is for doing it. Because like you say, in Germany, like, I mean, yeah, I think I read somewhere like yesterday in Germany, there was 21 deaths or 23 deaths, whereas we had 370 something. And like the numbers for us are so much higher than those other countries.
Far behind.
Yeah. And it
so far
seems,
behind.
I don't know, it just seems it's like, for example, put it this way, Gary, like, what do you do if these last 8-9 games in the Championship end up getting played behind closed doors, and on a particular day for a particular game that Leeds are going to clinch promotion or the title? Do you really think everyone's going to sit at home and watch that on TV?
No,
if you're playing, especially if the game's
yes.
at Ellen Road. I mean, they were talking yesterday about Liverpool, and you know, saying that whatever game it is that they may potentially win the Premier League, it'll be at a neutral ground. So if they put that game on at Villa Park, are you telling me there's not going to be 20,000 Scousers travel to Villa Park?
No, like, of course, they're going to line the streets, because, and this is the trouble. I think it's someone had me in hysterics the other day when it was absolutely boiling outside, and you know, they said, "Oh, you know, there's bikers everywhere. Everyone's walking in their families. Like, everyone's flocking the parks." The next day, it's raining. Suddenly, exercise isn't so important. Suddenly, you know, they want to stay inside, and so it's amazing how you can forget about coronavirus when it's sunny. You can just go out and stuff, and it's the same with, like, you know, Liverpool win the league, and they're playing X team on X neutral ground. If they win the league. Football fans are so passionate about that, and Liverpool fans will be so passionate, and they've been waiting for this moment. They forget coronavirus exists.
Yeah, but it's also not illegal for you to get in a car and drive to Birmingham today.
It's not illegal no more. So, and I think that's where a lot of the worry for the governing bodies has been. It's, you know, because it's also, I mean, Gary, you can answer this. Leeds have obviously got a very loyal, very active, large fan base. Forget about winning the title. Do you think if, let's say, 2 weeks down the line, they announced that in 2 weeks' time, Championship matches are being played current grounds behind closed doors? Do you think Leeds fans will turn up to the ground outside the ground?
I'd like to hope not.
Not as a general. Not as a general. I'm not saying that 45,000 people are going to turn up.
No, but people will. Yeah,
there'll be 1,000 of them, 2,000 of them.
I'd like to hope not, because we're kind of an anomaly as such, and we've had a club legend die of coronavirus. So we've been
a very fair point, actually. Yeah.
Kind of as supporters and as a fan base, we've been touched kind of personally by losing Norman Hunter to coronavirus. So I'd like to hope that, you know,
that understanding is there.
If fans
is there as well,
do have that feeling where I want to be a part of this, then hopefully, you know, the fact that we lost Norman Hunter to coronavirus might be the part where, like, for the greater good, if we want to see good, because let's be honest, like, and I can only talk from the Leeds point of view. Say that we go against that, and 500, 600, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 fans turn up at X ground, hang around outside because they know that Leeds are playing that day. That increases the risk of contracting the virus by a lot. If you work off what the original government standings were, that if I've got it and I come in contact with one person, then it goes to 2 people and 4 people, and then you get exponential growth. Potentially that turn up to that ground creates exponential growth, and we get another outburst in the worst case scenario. So I'd like to hope that as a Leeds fan and as a football fan across the country, that fans can see that for the greater good of, if we want to get these 9 games, 10 games, whatever games done, because we want to get football kind of bottomed off for whatever reason, from a purely footballing point of view, then I'd like to hope that fans would turn around and go, no, it's best if we just stay away and, you know, watch it online or whatever. However, do people always think like that? I'm not sure. Like, you know,
I mean, if you answer what me, mate, 16, like, it's one of them, and it's like 16 odd years since Leeds were in the Premier League or whatever. Liverpool, like, the length of time it's been, I think if it was completely different and it was Man City who were going to win the league, and it was, I don't know, flipping West Brom, or, you know, so maybe a team that had not spent such a long time without that particular thing, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But it's like, are you telling me that Liverpool fans are just going to stay at home and watch telly?
Yeah.
Because there's no, even me as a football fan, if I'd never experienced that, I mean, which a lot of the large percentage of that fan base, you know, especially Liverpool, won't have done, that's going to pose like a very difficult sort of thing. And I mean, I can't really speak for everyone on that, but like, I just think that there's going to be issues with it. And I mean, in Germany, I think I read somewhere that there wasn't anybody
there wasn't
turning up at games and stuff. But I think that we've seen what lockdown's been like, and I think that a lot of other countries are not British, and you know, aren't do you know what I mean? Though it's like, it's one of them.
I know what you mean.
I still get people come up and stand right next to me in the supermarket, and I'm just kind of looking at them like, what don't you understand about, like, you don't know what kind of distance 2 meters is? But I think when it comes to football, it's difficult, isn't it?
We're at a point now where I think if they don't push it and bring it back now, they have to void every season. No promotions, no relegations.
You can't physically squeeze the games in next season. I mean, look at how many games are on the Championship.
The reason I say that is because they've just announced the FA Cup final is being played on August the 1st.
What's that? 10 days before 10 days before the Charity Shield would normally be.
Exactly, and it's like, so if based on the timelines now, the FA Cup final is August the 1st, which is basically beginning to become next season.
It's 3 months late, isn't it? It's 3 months late.
It's surely we're at a point now of that is why they're forcing it through, because they're if they don't, they have to void the season, or they have to end it. So they have to just call it a day. And there's obviously calls, and I think where, you know, this forced kind of feeling to play games, I think a lot of that was actually stemmed from Norwich, because Norwich that made that statement that said they will refuse, or they won't accept relegation if they are forced to play out the rest of the season with an unfit squad, people in isolation, and at the same time, Leeds and West Brom are promoted on points per game or averages, or not being forced to play the games out, which I can understand their point. Like, imagine being told you got to play your 9 games to get relegated, and the people replacing you haven't got to play them. You'd feel a bit unjustified, of course, but this is the thing. And it, you know, I had a moment on Twitter the other day where it really kind of riled me up. Is you've got people like Norwich City and so on going, oh, we will refuse and not accept relegation if you make us play games and don't make other teams play games. You've got chairmen of football clubs putting public tweets out saying, if you finish the game in this way, or finish the season in this way, that doesn't benefit us because we're in 6th or 7th, or we're in the playoffs and we could be 1st, or that doesn't benefit us, so we will sue you to the EFL. Tweeting the EFL to tell them they're going to sue them if they finish it on points per game because it won't suit them. Like, it literally blows my mind that there's like clubs and chairmen publicly saying these things. It's like,
it's because there's so much money in the game. It's literally about nothing but money.
If there's an issue or you want to raise a point, you know, these clubs are having weekly Zoom meetings with all the chairmen and the EFL and stuff. Bring your point up. You all get a vote at the end of the day. Like, all the chairmen are voting whether to void the season, whether to finish it on points per game, unweighted, weighted. They're all voting. So you are being given a voice. If you vote no because it doesn't benefit your club, that is your opinion. But if 21 other clubs vote yes, then you just have to take it on the chin and be an adult. Like, it's, do you know what I mean? It's, how can you start then going to Twitter and saying, oh, we're going to sue the EFL, despite what 21 other clubs vote, we're going to sue the EFL if it doesn't suit us. Suddenly it's about, and that's where I think football loses that community feel. Like, for the fans, it's like, just saying, like, when it doesn't suit us, we're going to go to court and we're going to get lawyers involved and stuff. Like, football is bigger than that. I've been trying to avoid. I keep saying he, and I'm trying to avoid saying the chairman or the club to stay on like neutral ground. But it's the whole pandemic, the whole return of football is a lot bigger than a League One football club. A lot bigger than one club. I fully respect that club and hundreds of other clubs have financial issues. They are paying out. They've got to pay out even more for the return of football because of the amount of tests and stuff they've got to do with their staff. Like, I get that naturally, if you own a club or work for a club, you have bias to your club and all you care about is the stability and maintaining your football club. But I think we all have to take a step back, whether that's clubs, chairman, Paul and I who sell merchandise in the football industry, whether it's journalists, everybody has to take a step back and just at the moment realise the problem is bigger than their problem. Like, it is worldwide. It's, it's the return of football. It's not the return of a football club. It's the return of the whole sport. But I think naturally you're going to get issues. No one's going to be happy. That's the problem with this whole scenario.
You can't please everyone because there's always going to be winners. There's always going to be losers in that scenario. It's like points per game. Some teams might say, well, we've been on a good run lately. And even though we're 3 or 4 points off the relegation zone, you don't know if a lot can change, especially in a championship where it's always so close in and around the playoffs. But the thing I was thinking about, which I don't know if this has been said anywhere, but I'm right in thinking, that in the championship you play, is it when you start playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, is that primarily after Christmas? Because you play there's 8 games extra on the Premier League, isn't there?
No, it's kind of all season long. Like Saturday, Tuesday in the championship is pretty brutal anyway, really.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking when you talk about the FA Cup being in August, obviously they can't just bowl straight into a brand new season without probably a month off, maybe a little bit longer. So, like, with the Euros being rescheduled and set for next summer, that's going to start regardless in June. So, how does it work? How's it going to work where there's a break between, for example, the ending this season, particularly if it goes on, and starting the next one? And how does that have a knock-on effect to the Euros? Because obviously in the Premier League, they could probably throw in some extra midweek games because in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure you don't start playing midweek till like November, December.
I think that's where it also goes down the line again of forgetting that footballers are humans. The governing bodies are going, right, well, if we start it, we'll do FA Cup final August the 1st, bang, throw them straight back into next season, scrap your winter break. Oh, and the ones that are playing for England, they can just finish the season late and then go straight off to the Euros. Like, they're forgetting that these guys are going to be absolutely knackered. They're going to have injuries. They've got families. They've got kids at home and stuff. Like, it's just forgetting the whole factor that they're footballers. They don't need a break. They earn loads of money. And it's like, they do earn loads of money, but
it'll be interesting to see the quality of the football. I mean, I've never seen so many goals in a Bundesliga. Like, literally, it was mad. Like, the goals, it was just goals, and it's like, from a fan perspective, that might be interesting or exciting, but I don't know. I just got the vibe of, I watched about 5 minutes of the first Dortmund game and just got the vibe that it was like a bit more like a friendly than anything else.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the thing is, like, I think a lot of sort of shoots of positivity have appeared by the players returning back to training, but there's still lots and lots of things that need ironing out, like policing of games and everything else around it. So it's still, although it's encouraging in terms of football coming back, players being back in training and, legislation being passed for this, and this, but there's still quite a bit to go. I mean, the first game that gets played when 10,000 fans turn up and cause a ruckus outside, that might change things. So I don't know. It's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. Personally, I just,
Gary, I got just a spin-off. You probably know what I'll ask. Do you think I don't even know, the Championship looking to play the games out now?
I think they're waiting for the Premier League, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think what the Premier League does.
So if the Championship play the games out, do you think you could throw it away?
Yeah, well, Leeds United, of course we can.
It's Leeds, man, of course. Anyone knows this.
However, one caveat to that is that we've got majority of the same players who threw it away last year, and I think that the atmosphere in the squad to go and prove people wrong is quite strong. Like
Bielsa always starts good though, doesn't he? I was reading somewhere the other day. It's always often he starts quite good.
The thing is, though, right? Yeah, that was the biggest thing with Bielsa. Like we're disappearing down another wormhole.
We're going down Leeds rabbit hole.
He was always sort of blamed that his teams burn out. And looking from a neutral point of view, looking at Leeds last year and looking at the way that we collapsed towards the end of the season, like culminating in a defeat to Derby in the playoffs, could easily come to the conclusion that they'd burnt out. But all the stats and all the data from all the players, they were still running as far, as fast, game in, game out. It was just a mental thing that when it came to January, we thought we'd cracked it and we hadn't cracked it. And we took his foot off the gas and teams punished us for it. And I'm quite happy as a Leeds fan to put my hand up and say Sheffield United deserved to go up in front of us that year because they were more consistent from the period of January through to obviously promotion. Yeah. So yeah, Bielsa does get blamed and he does work his teams incredibly hard. Like there's no two ways about it. Them guys get absolutely thrashed day in, day out, week in, week out. But the blame that he sort of burns them out is a little bit of a fallacy, to be fair. Certainly from a Leeds point of view, I can't comment on Bilbao and Chile and Argentina and the teams who were before, but from a Leeds point of view, like the players last year, they didn't look exhausted. Like we were losing games, and in the 90th minute, they were running equally as hard as they were in the first minute. It was just a mental block that we had a young side with very little experience, and we thought we cracked it. And
well, fingers crossed, they haven't spent this entire lockdown eating Easter eggs like Paul.
Well, they came back to training this week, and there was footage on LUTV, and the lads looked ripped. And I was talking to someone who shall remain nameless over there, and he said, no, the lads have got an absolute point to prove. The lads are, like, since it got locked down, they're just single-minded in the fact that we're going to come back and we're going to prove that last year was a mistake and we should have gone up last year because arguably we're being the best, one of two of the best footballing sides for the last 2 years. And, and ultimately, Leeds United, 9 games, we could easily throw it away. That's what we do. Like, we're renowned in not being bottle jobs, but we're renowned in just making it hard. Like, I can't, last time we got promoted from League One to Championship, we did it the hard way. Like, we were top at league, we were flying, and we had a shock in January and, and whatever else. But, absolutely, 9 games, Championship, anything can happen. We can throw it away. Do I think we will? No. Do I think we'll see them 9 games?
I think you will.
I'm equally a bit skeptical if we'll even see them 9 games, if I'm honest. But
I'm still getting that because I was thinking as well. Surely, if the Premier League's coming back on June 17th, and if the EFL are actually waiting to see what happens, I don't know whether they're going to wait to see that, or maybe in a week or sort of 10 days or so might say, right, here's the date that we're coming back, or because they can't leave it if they leave it until the 17th of June. They probably realistically would say, right, 24th of June or 30th of June or whatever. Like, that's going to be too late unless you're going to jump. Imagine jumping straight back in Saturday, Tuesday.
Haven't Hull got players that have tested positive as well? I know that there's questions about that, but
people are asking questions. But yeah,
can you then call it a fair end to the season if a team's got players in isolation?
I think Blackburn did as well, didn't they? Blackburn had one.
Blackburn.
Yeah. Elliot Bennett, I think, came out on Twitter.
Can you call it a fair end to the season? But it's no different to someone being injured.
Yeah, you can't. But where do you draw the line? I mean, if they got 10 of the players out with coronavirus,
and they're playing 16-year-olds from the youth squad.
But 2, it's no different to I don't know, tonsillitis or whatever.
It's 2 weeks. It's a hamstring pull or whatever.
I mean that sounds pretty flippant in terms of coronavirus, but
from football, though, you're definitely right.
From a football point of view, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's such a well, like to coin the phrase, it's just we were totally unprepared for it. Like,
of course,
to be as bad as it was. Like, well, everybody was like. I mean,
so were we as a business. Like, you don't prepare for. You don't think you need to prepare for these.
Well,
because you've never heard of them before.
I was as guilty as anybody of just thinking, it's just a decent flu, like, and then
I did as well. Paul used to.
The amount of times Carl would say, "Oh well, X amount of people die from the flu every year," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the flu's got a vaccine, and it's not the flu." And it's like, and then literally one day it just clicked, and he's like, "Now it's like right, Corona." But I think it's just a lot of people were doing the
wash
same
your hands,
thing.
Paul. Stop
I'm
passing me them mugs. Wash your hands.
This, do that.
Yeah, well, I was like, like that. I was thinking, yeah, it's just a decent flu, and then I had a meeting at work, and I was like, yeah, it's not a decent flu. And then when I spent 5 days, 3 days in the hospital on the Corona ward, I like sat up and took a bit of notice. I was like, oh shit, we're not playing games.
Back home, saying to the kids, don't come near me.
Get a wash. But anyway, right. So to get it back on track, because we've just disappeared down a massive coronavirus football-related wormhole. To move to a different code entirely, rugby union. You guys have dipped your toe into the rugby union world.
We have. We've
been trying to dip it in there for a while.
We've been speaking to rugby clubs for quite some time. I say we've been speaking to some rugby clubs have been speaking to us for quite some time. We've had meetings with clubs and stuff, and it was we had meetings with clubs, and then literally 2-3 weeks later, bang, coronavirus. There it is again.
Well, the last one we went to, we were hand sanitizing.
Oh, we had to hand sanitize and stuff. So
it was about a week before lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that kind of slowed down the process with the rugby stuff. But you know, we've said it a few times before. We are constantly looking at the longevity of this business. You know, we have to create something that has constant growth and can last forever. So I say to Paul, I've said it to a few people, give it a few years down the line, I'll have every retro football kit available online on a mug. And then where do I go? So we have to have these different things that come in. And rugby was something that we got a lot of requests for. A lot of rugby fans were asking us to do stuff. So we started reaching out to a couple of clubs, and then a couple of clubs started reaching out to us about ideas they had. And yeah, so Northampton Saints is the lead. There's another one to come shortly as well. So it was actually 3 licenses earlier, not 2. There is another rugby club to come. And it's great. It's been received really, you know, we've had to approach it really carefully, because from what I know, a lot of football fans aren't too interested in rugby. A lot of rugby fans aren't really interested in football. You're kind of one or the other a lot of the time. And we have to change our marketing and how we release stuff and how we operate regarding the rugby stuff, because it's a different audience. But it's, again, like football, like a football fan who follows a football team. With rugby, there's just so much loyalty there. There's so much pride there. And that's where we can cross over what we do and working with other sports. So, yeah, it's been an exciting release. The launch went really well. I mean, rugby shirts, it wasn't until we did the license for Northampton Saints we started looking over the history of kits. Like, rugby shirts have been awesome. There's some great patterns and stuff across the years. So it was a really fun one to work on. That's now live. It's been received really well. The order numbers have been really good. So that only kind of cements further that the Terrace will begin to start looking outside of football. And that's not forgetting football. Football's our core and what we will be doing on a daily basis. And, you know, our plan is to get all 92 clubs. As hard as that will be, we will continue to get all 92 clubs. But it's nice to start broadening the horizons. And, yeah, rugby's been the next kind of one to take a look at, and give it a couple of weeks and there'll be the second rugby announcement. But then before the next rugby announcement, there's probably 2 football license announcements. So it's going to be coming at you thick and fast.
Happy days. And that segues us perfectly to fan questions, which we have obviously try and get a few on. Darren Fleming, at Papa Fleming on Twitter. Would you be able to do ice hockey teams, or is it a copyright issue? Because he'd love to see some Steelers hockey. Now, I'm guessing here, and I apologise, Darren, if it's not. I'm guessing that's Sheffield Steelers.
It is.
Shirt mugs would be great.
I'll leave that for Paul.
Yeah, I've actually had a couple of meetings with a couple of different clubs. Something that, to be honest with you, pre-lockdown, it was full tilt on that side of things, but just during the last 12 weeks, because there's just been so much other stuff to do on a daily basis just to keep things ticking over. It's kind of been all hands to the pump, but like there's definitely going to be some movement on that in the not too distant future. When I saw his tweet on Friday, I actually replied to a couple of emails that I've been sitting, awaiting, chasing up for a while. So yeah, you never know. Sheffield.
That's
Steelers.
it. Like I'm chatting to a darts player at the moment about releasing mugs and phone cases.
Flights would be sick, mate.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Class.
Just to do a range of like a kit mug, phone case, and so on with his shirt. Obviously, darts players' shirts are epic. Like they are so cool. And you know, we've chatted to him for a while. He's a fan of one of our licensed clubs, and he bought some stuff off of us. And we got chatting on Twitter, and he said to me, like, you know, darts fans love the players that they follow. Like they love them, and he was like, because darts players are of that kind of popularity and availability that darts players actually chat to their followers quite regularly on Twitter and everywhere, because it's not like they're some 120 grand a week footballer locked away in a mansion that hides away and can't go down the shop without getting spotted. You know, so darts players are quite adaptive to the people that follow them and stuff, and because of that, their fans are so loyal. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to like kind of make this big song and dance about this kind of the shirt that he wears and see how it goes. And it's just, you know, at the end of the day, we've got nothing to lose, and it's kind of like fun. These projects are really fun, and so that'll be darts, and like Paul said, he's chatting to a couple of ice hockey, and then there's the rugby stuff, and we've had loads of requests on cricket. We've had 2 county cricket clubs contact us regarding stuff, and yeah. So I mean, when you look at the Terrace on a growth platform, it then gives me the headache of working out how I segment the website, because footballers are core. Paul and I are football fans, so that will always be the lead. It will always be the dominance of our social media and what we do on a daily basis. So, but I also need to try and segment the website so people can, if they're a rugby fan or an ice hockey fan, they can kind of come in and filter their way through to a section that pleases them, rather than being like Leeds aprons and Liverpool mugs and so then, because they're not interested. And you know, it gives Paul more headaches because he has to kind of separate mailing lists, and yeah, there's a lot of it's fun projects to be going into other sports, but it does create quite a few headaches. Like you have to try and think of the customer and the people that are viewing your website and reading the posts you're making, because you don't want to alienate a core part of your audience and start going off on kind of tangents into other sports and stuff, that then you lose your brand appeal to like basically the foundation of this company, the people that support us on a daily basis. So yeah, there's lots of conversations to be had and lots of brainstorming to be done.
And many pills, ibuprofen at the ready.
Yeah, lots of ibuprofen and beers, and
it's just headache.
Pizzas.
It's just headache. It's great. The funny thing is, like, it's funny because if I was still in my old job and was like on with this kind of thing, I would genuinely be just like, this is a headache. But like, I don't know why, but it just feels completely different when like you're doing something for yourself rather than someone else, and it's more like, oh yeah, this is a problem, but let's solve the problem. And yeah, this is, you know, it's like Carl said earlier, like we've got problems, absolutely, but they're good problems, and you know, they're good problems where every day we're ticking something off that we, you know, have identified. Yeah, we need to improve this. And I mean, even just the simple off. Well, just because I'm ticking it off doesn't mean there's not extra things going on the bottom. But I mean, yeah, for every one task you tick off, 2 more pop on there. But I think one of the big things that's been a key for us, especially in the last few sort of 2-3 months, is we really just want to improve like constantly the customer experience, and we're just trying to like make little tweaks here and there with the website. And some of them are like major tweaks, but like just improving like access to information and, you know, stuff like improving the sort of different elements of making a purchase that make it easy for you and give you all the info that you need to sort of know what you're buying and when it's going to come and, you know, when it's going to get delivered, and like those kind of bits we're constantly trying to improve just to
Gary,
really
I'll
make
give you
it better for people.
A little behind the scenes story. one of those tweaks, I've got to tell him. So one of those tweaks regarding SEO, search engine optimization.
Yeah, get in the bin with this.
So like a lot of the work we're doing on a daily basis, like
we're undoing our old problems, basically.
A lot of the work we're doing on a daily basis at the moment doesn't even affect the customer. Like they'll never see what we've done. It will never even affect them. But it's stuff we have to do to keep everything kind of like organized and proper. And what we realized about 9 months ago, but it's taken us 9 months to actually find time to do it. Oh, because Paul's gone full time, he's now doing it during the day. Is the first ever mug I uploaded. I say not the first ever because the first was Yaboa. But when we started doing club kit mugs, obviously at some point I uploaded a kit mug for Aberdeen's 1992 home shirt. Now, when I've gone and uploaded new mugs, because I'm going at 700 mile an hour and I ain't got enough time in the day, what I do is I go to the back end of the website and I hit products, mugs, and it shows me a list of all the mugs. And what I've been doing is, if we're bearing in mind, we have like over 1,000 mugs now on the website.
We could just sum this whole thing up by using the phrase dickhead. It'd just be easier, but I'll let him carry on.
So what I've been doing is, rather than creating a new product every time, to save time, the first mug in the list is Aberdeen 1992.
Yeah.
So I click it, and then I just click duplicate, and then I change the title, change the photo, because we've got generic descriptions. I change the tags of what it comes up with. Aberdeen, like I change from Aberdeen to, Oldham or whichever club it is. Done. Save. What I didn't realise was, if you scroll down a little bit further, it says SEO details, search engine optimization. And I haven't been changing them. So every single mug on our website, when it comes up on Google, says Aberdeen 1992 kit mug.
Can I just take you back as well? Sorry, it's not just mugs, Gary. It's every single product. Every single product.
And we've currently got 3,500 products on our
literally
website.
Every single. There was one where I went to Google and found a product, and it was literally you searched it, it came up with the correct name, but then all the information was wrong. So, dickhead. I literally, do you know what's funny though? I told him about it, started fixing it. 2 weeks ago, he's still uploading products and just clicking duplicate on the thing.
So because I've got into a routine now, so now I have to. It takes me a little bit of time, and I've got to adjust.
Carl
the
does
way
that
I
thing where he thinks that saving
Paul
2 minutes, saving 30 seconds here is great, but without realizing it's added 2 minutes a little further down the line. But this is one of the things though, we said in the first podcast, we started off doing things without really knowing what we were doing. And now we're kind of undoing those things where it's kind
of basically,
this is messed
if
up,
you go and type Aberdeen 1992 kit mug into Google, it's pot luck what you're going to get, because there's about 20 pages of products and website links. So
I'm literally getting off here and trying that. As soon as I get off,
it might not work because Paul's changed it.
I think I fixed that one now.
I'm still going to try it and post it in the group either way. So.
It's just ridiculous.
Aberdeen 92 kit mug, and it brings up bloody Leighton Orient 1984.
Do you know what it is? The biggest problem with it is that doing those kind of things is so time consuming that I probably spent at one point at least a day, just literally an entire day, copy, paste, and then just bulk doing it. And you have to change it's even a simple thing. Carl's working on something at the moment where this is another thing. When you start off doing something, you probably thought we'd have 20 mug designs. So when he's organized all the art files and stuff on the server, he's just put the name and a random thing. But what it means is that I can't find files because I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they're called or if he's made a typo.
So I print every single print file that gets pressed onto a mug or a coaster or whatever. So we had discussions the other day because my time is spent so greatly in printing art files that I'm not getting enough time to do running the business stuff that I need to be doing with licensed clubs and everything. So we've been having discussions lately, and I'm going to be training Craig to print the files from Photoshop and so on. And I said, the only trouble we've got here is, I said, let me ask, Craig and Paul were stood in front of me, and I said, let me ask you a question. If someone orders a Southend 1990 kit mug, what are you going to type in to find it? And they said, well, Southend 1990. I said, no, because only I know that file is named Southend because I forgot to put an O in it.
and the fact that you literally will just, some things are actually called very obvious things and other things aren't called obvious things. So
it's because I work at 100 mile an hour, and obviously when it was just me and Paul and like we were selling 10 mugs a week or whatever, I'm going double speed and it's just like bang, that'll do, because it'll only ever be me that needs to see it. We never expected to be where we are today. So like at the time, yeah, the fact that Southend 1990 is called Southend 1990 doesn't matter because I know what to type in when I need the file. But now the business has got to the size it is, we're now undoing all of those lazy mistakes from 2.5 years. 2.5 years of these.
I'm still going to be doing it in 2 years. Like,
well, yeah, we need to back Carl's brain up to the cloud or something, just so we can at least find stuff.
Right, if I vanish tomorrow, they're done. Terrace is gone.
Yeah, we're screwed. I mean, I know, to be fair, you went to Disney, right? You went to Disney back in February, and I was down there with Craig, and I was like, right, we've got to press these and print these today. And I'm literally like, right, okay, oh, that one. Yeah, let's just type the word into the search. Nothing. I'm like, what could it be? I'm like, typing letters in. Some of them, I was just like, we're just going to have to leave them because I actually can't find them. Like, I just give up. And we both sat there like, I don't know what goes through Carl's brain when he was saving these things, but it's not the kind of thing that a normal human being would do. Like, but I mean, to be honest, it's like other stuff. It's like you just can't plan anything. I mean, the simple thing where when we're talking about like changing things and stuff like that, it's like I sit there and I go, right, okay, this is what we're doing this week. I know that today I've got to do this. It's like right, okay, now I know end of the month tomorrow. So I know that in 5 weeks' time we've got a VAT return to submit. And I'm already thinking to myself, well, I'm going to have to work on a Saturday and Sunday just to get that done because when's it going to get done? But then it's like we go and drop a face mask and now there's like 3,000 transactions for $2.99 postage that I've now got.
Paul said, oh, we're finally catching up on the accounts. I'm pretty caught up. And I said, okay, I'm just dropping 3,000 for 8 face masks. I'll back in a minute.
Literally went in there the day before, 200 transactions to reconcile. The next morning, click refresh, 3,000. I'm just like, that's like a day's work. It's easily like a day's work. And I'm just like, yeah, it's great and all that. But, you know, I think it's funny because I look at things now. I mean, one of the funny things we changed recently, how long have we been running this business for? 10 years? It feels like 10 years. Yeah, one of the things we finally got around recently to changing all of the email notifications on the website. Because we just used to use this generic thing that had random information in. I realized that one of them still had information in from like Christmas 2018. Because we just changed something with the intention of going back and taking it out, but never did. So we're just like, right, we need to change these.
Thanks for your Christmas order.
We're just like, yeah, thanks for your order. Just to let you know, we've got delays with this because it's Christmas. And I'm like, it's definitely like March. It's not Christmas. Like. But it's that thing.
And we laugh about this, and it sounds really unprofessional. But like, it's these things that one make the company fun to run. Two, show how quick this brand has just gone from 2 blokes in their spare rooms selling 10 mugs a month to suddenly shipping 1,500 orders a week. It just shows how like it's spiraled so quickly, and like now we talked about
the other night, and I said like to Carl the other night, I'm like, yeah, so. We've just hired Rob. Like, that's great. Like, that's going to enable us to do this. I'm like, but we need 3 more people. Like, we need to hire like, we need someone else for graphics. We need someone else for bookkeeping. We need this. We need that. But it's like, right now we
Gary, to have a job. I'll pay you 4 mugs a week.
No, I'm good, thanks. I'm done busy anyway.
So yeah, Paul, don't send him that gold Terrace mug.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah,
we'll have to remind Craig not to send it out.
Yeah, Craig will send it anyway. He loves me.
Craig will send it anyway.
Craig will send it anyway.
He'll send it too.
Yeah. It's
Here's
just
a
mad
spare
though.
In case you dropped one.
It's just mad though. Like when we said last week, like I remember ages and ages Carl banging on when we were in the old premises, like, yeah, we need to move. We're growing out of this. And I'm like, right, we're getting a new place. We've put everything in there. And I'm like, bloody hell, there's a lot of space in here. Like, we'll be laughing. And then last week,
like 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago, and last week, I'm sat there and I said to myself, if we literally hire one person who's like office based, there's nowhere for them to go. Like, where are they going to go?
But bearing in mind, I have taken up the whole office.
yeah, but where would you put them?
We've got an office room for we're like, yeah, we'll get 4 desks in there. I've come in and I've just slapped my massive desk, 4 printers. I've taken over the whole office. Going, we need a bigger place. I'm done now.
And I'm sitting there. I'm just sat there thinking to myself, I don't know what we're going to do here. Like, what, we're just going to.
I said, and we did say, oh, well, upstairs is being used for like storage, so maybe we could have a double workforce and have the team upstairs.
The upstairs.
We went up there the other day. First time it's been sunny. It's like Barbados up there. Oh my god!
Mate, we'd be getting taken to an employment tribunal. We'd be taken to an employment tribunal or something if you made someone work in those conditions.
Yeah, I
it's
don't
so
think
hot up there, but it's also only 5'4".
Yeah, so we'd have to hire someone who was really short,
or just like this.
I think Willy Wonka might know a few people. Want to get in touch with him?
They get paid in chocolate.
True. Going back to then, our last question is from I think a pal of yours, Carl, Tom Roll.
Mosh and Roll.
If you could change
big Bristol Rovers fan he is.
Yeah, up the gas.
Bless him.
He'll like that. He's going to like that.
He's a Bristol City fan.
To be fair, Bristol have got a really nice place in my heart because we got promoted against them back to the Championship. So, anyway, if you could change one thing in football history, what would it be? I'll start with you, Carl. One thing in football history, and the reason I've come to you is because you were deliberating before we came on air about what it would be.
I
already know.
The thing is, like, I still haven't decided, but I think it's the most recent thing of VAR. Like, I used to be one of those guys that before VAR was like, I can't believe that lino didn't see that. I can't believe the ball was that far over the line. I didn't see it. I can't believe this is rubbish. Why haven't we got cameras on the goal lines? Why haven't we got a third referee? It'd be so easy. And now I've got it. I'm just like, this is the worst decision that was ever made in football. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, watching, and the worst point about it was when it first came in, I was so behind it. I was like, finally, it's like they've been listening to me. And then it comes in, and then you see it go to a video referee. It comes back and they give a decision that you can clearly see is still wrong. And it's just like, this has solved nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Can I just say on that, I went to I think it was Red Bull Leipzig playing against maybe Wolfsburg or someone last season. And it was the first time, because it was just before it came into the Premier League. And it was the first time I'd ever seen it like in action. And I remember being stood there in the stadium, and most of the VAR decisions, they send a ref to the TV. And they put the onus on the ref to make the thing. They literally pop up in his ear and say, you need to have a look at this. And literally the ref was over. I think there was about 4 or 5 in the game. And I think there was one of them that he didn't go to look at the screen. But every other one, he went and looked at the screen, made the decision. But even then, like Carl says, like from that, it just sometimes I can't imagine
what deal with that. Like. I could deal with that. This whole going to another room. I remember there was a Man City game on Sky I was watching, and it was in that room being contemplated. They were drawing lines on everything and measuring stuff with protractors and stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? It's been about 4 minutes.
Yeah,
it's been 4 minutes. Like, if it's taking you 4 minutes to decide,
you're like, do I celebrate this goal or not?
No, it's like, if it's taking you 4 minutes to decide something, you probably need to give someone the benefit of the doubt, because no amount of compasses, protractors, and calculators are going to get you the answer if it's taking you that long. Like, it's just stupid. Like, it's absolutely stupid. And maybe I don't know. It's I've had enough of it. Like, so I think how passionate I am about how much I hate it now, but how much I wanted it. That's what I'd change. Don't like that side of me.
This is really hard, because there's like 3 or 4 probably really quick ones. Number 1, Southgate missing that penalty in Euro 96. I wish I could change that, because I was really sad. I would have never tore down the old Wembley.
Yes.
I missed the old Wembley. I went there twice. I missed the old Wembley.
I'd have kept the towers and built it with the towers. Just the towers.
Number 3, I'd have been a genie popping up in Harry Kane's head telling him to square it. In the Euros or the World Cup, whatever it was last.
I'm with you on a couple of them, but mine would have been Gascoigne reaching that across the box.
Yeah.
Like, still surprised me to this day that he didn't get on that, but yeah.
I think, or just like prolonged footage of John Terry crying on the pitch in Moscow.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Gary, what's your favourite ever England goal?
If you don't say Gascoigne against Scotland, I'm going to drive to Bradley and socially distance whack you on.
Right, I've got 2 very close to each other, and it's Gascoigne against Scotland, but it's got to also be Shearer against the Netherlands, the one where it goes across.
Yeah.
He puts it in top bin. So yeah, I'm going
to. Mine was
that was a
Gascoigne's one against Scotland, but I didn't watch the game. So for me, the game, and I remember watching the game, was that Beckham free kick against Greece in the last minute to send us through qualifying.
I was at the game.
I was at the game as well.
I was at the game on a school trip.
I was at the game as well.
The best thing about that goal was that, because he walked out with that poorly little girl as well, didn't he? And he said it was for her. And the whole story behind that, and the fact that it was like right at the end? And it was in
front of the Stretford end.
Yeah, and I was watching on telly, and the commentators were there going, "It's now or never. If he scores, England qualify. If he doesn't, England are out." And it was just like the commentators put so much kind of like atmosphere before the free kick, and you're just there glued. And I just remember it like it was literally like it was in slow motion, and it was just unbelievable. Like,
to be honest, any of those goals in that, in fact, probably even the first goal in that England 5 Germany 1 game.
Yeah, they were crackers as well.
The funny thing is, I can remember so many of them, like those was it Michael Owen against Argentina? Yeah. That was a belter.
Was that his first goal?
Yeah.
18-year-old Michael Owen against Argentina.
That was his first goal, wasn't it, for England?
I'll tell you something, as much as a lot of people don't like him, what a footballer. Like, what an actual footballer he was. Unbelievable. Some of the goals that he scored, and just the funny thing is, people always make jokes about him being sick note at the end of his career. But if you think about how many games he actually played, he was never injured when he was 18, was he?
While we're talking about goals, and I know this has nothing to do with England, nothing to do with anyone that you support, Gary, but I was scrolling on Facebook earlier and I saw a Soccer AM post. And I don't know how I'd never seen this goal. I think it was last season. It was when Wolves were in the Championship. So was it the season before last? I can't remember.
Yeah.
The Ruben Neves goal where he taps it up and volleys it. I've never seen that goal. And it was on Soccer AM had posted it again. I don't know who was it against?
It was against Reading, I think, and I watched it live. I'm sure it was Reading.
I couldn't believe how far out he was.
I actually rewound it and played it again. I was like, oh, shit, he did do that. That's ridiculous. I was like, come watch this. This is mental.
It come up in my feed, and it was like, remember when Neves did this or something? And I watched the video.
I'm sure it was Reading. I'm sure like a Friday night.
It was a Championship game, but I was just like, that is unbelievable. And I just
arguably the best player I've seen in the Championship, Neves. This didn't deserve to be there. Should never have been there.
Never. I think it's just maybe it was a day where I didn't go on Twitter or something, but I was just like, how have I never seen this goal? He's about 45 yards out.
Yeah, he is unreal. Him.
Yeah, baller, absolute
Pinger
baller.
Central. That was absolute Pinger.
Definitely. Not quite Tony Yeboah against Liverpool in front of Cop, but anyway, we'll have that.
He's back. Gary's back.
Anyway, that brings us to an end of episode 6. And a good catch up.
We're all going to watch the Rocket, yeah?
Yeah.
I've had a curry going cold downstairs for half an hour.
That's what the doorbell was.
Oh, yeah, I heard it go early, actually. I've got to see some people get shot into space, hopefully. So, guys, it's been good to catch up again.
It's been good.
Nice to speak to you. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in. Remember to tell everybody else to listen to this as well. Like and share, subscribe it. all that other stuff. And yeah, it's been class again. Take it easy, gents, and I'll catch you soon.
Cheers, Gary.